times until we start 30 minutes. We're running to see progress. Yeah, relax.
So yeah, we are live. This is Mike and Matt. Yeah,
Might.
yeah. We might even call it Might.
Might, yeah?
Yeah, the Might team.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So we have some guests here, but there are regular guests, so we don't mind.
Yeah. Those of you that are regulars at night.
Yeah, they're fighting some cup. I'm
Yeah.
tired of them fighting. So yeah, so it's we are going to work in on this issue. Maybe
Uh-huh.
maybe I just do myself a favor and have this up here so that I find it easier to swap between the two. So
Good deal.
this is the ticket that we are going to be working on. Make projects drop down on the events page. Only have projects with future events. So like on the main site, if we come to the events page, upcoming events,
Mhm.
when you look at this, it's everything. It doesn't filter the projects that only these few projects that have events over there, but then it shows everything. But what we want is to filter the events that are coming here. So yeah, I think that's what I started looking at, and my first step was to look at the rec routes and grep events, and with that I found that these events get route, the index could be the one that's displaying this page, and then from there I came to the event controller, the index, and here we have projects.all. I think this is what's displayed over there, and then yeah. So maybe what I was going to do next was to look at what I was going to do next was to look at the views and the events views.
Nice.
The event view will have
So sorry, there you're in the okay. Yeah, never mind.
so
Carry
here
on. Yep.
here maybe I will look for this guy
Yep. Nice.
and see what's your name, project ID. So select tag, and you see here they are just getting the projects that's passed from these projects at all. So maybe what I will do, I will come and look at the models,
Nice.
and then the models I will look for the project model
Uh-huh.
and see. So this is not what I was expecting. Okay. Maybe I have a Django thinking, but I can see this for the events.
Sorry, did you? I'm sorry if you already told me this. Have you already like, pulled down the latest from develop and created a branch for this?
Yeah. So if I had this guy, if I do,
Just because I know today was the day that Sam was merging a lot of stuff to develop. So
yeah.
I don't know.
So I created this branch 2665. I think that's the.
Yep. When did you create that? Was that like
Yeah.
some minutes ago, or is that some hours ago, or
Some minutes ago.
okay, cool. Great.
Let me just redo this.
Yeah, just because I noticed that like the reason I thought about it is because nice, because I noticed that like that there's a change that I made to that project model that I saw is there, you know. So I assumed you did, but it just reminded me that
Oh, nice.
down line 26, like that scope search by language, that was a class method. Now it's a scope.
Okay.
But yeah, anyways.
Nice.
So what were you expecting to find? Sorry, you were saying something about Django and you were
Yeah.
looking at the project model for.
Okay, maybe if I show you what happens with Django models, so that you know what I was saying. Django model example. So
You know what? Sam. Sam.
So in the Django models, what I normally find is the first name, like the fields that are going to be migrated in the database. So for example, I have first name, then last name, and then these will have the above person model will create a database table like this. So i.e. first name, last name.
Yeah, so you can go to like the schema if you want to see that kind of information.
Yeah, so that's in the schema. So where I use schema. So you're down here. Baby, come. She's not happy. DB schema. Let me do some magic. So Matt.
Yep.
I think the situation is managed, at least temporarily. So yeah, so when I come to this model, I want to see the relationships with the events, because it's a projects model that has all the events. So it has many event instances. So so one project can have many events. So I don't know whether when writing my Because in SQL, what I'm thinking of is this. In SQL, what I'm kind of thinking of.
I mean, you can write it down in the editor as well, because you can always delete it.
Oh yeah. So what I'm thinking of here,
maybe you can even save it.
Yeah, what I'm thinking of is select maybe event name. Select all projects, all from projects. Then I join events on projects. Maybe I'll give this an alias of P. So this will be P dot project ID. I think it's just ID. Equals E dot ID. Then where E dot what's the event model?
So I can understand what you're doing. Like there's a shortcut that you can use.
So like here.
Why don't you drop in a price session somewhere in there?
Okay.
Like, well, actually, maybe drop it in after the at projects so that you have access to that. Do you have access to that instance variable? Or yeah, you don't need to. I mean, either way. Yeah, it's easy to write project.all. And maybe you don't want project.all. But yeah, so just put it there. Sorry.
So I need so, and what I need to do is maybe run tests for
yeah, that's one way of doing it. I mean, the thing is that you've placed this in the index method, right?
Yeah, so maybe just doing localhost 3000.
Yeah, but that's so localhost 3000 will go to the index page of like the home page. So, but this is yeah, exactly.
So
we're gonna go to the events index page, right? Yeah.
So I guess already it is there. Where is that running? So Prey is active, and what's this timing out?
Oh yeah, sorry. So this is the same issue I was running into. So I remove the binding.pry and use bybug.
Okay.
So annoying.
Yeah.
Link.
my stars.
Did you put PyBug in it?
Yeah.
It's still doing the same thing? No, I think
Yeah.
that there.
Oh,
no.
I did not exit. Exit.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to exit. Control C. Just quit.
Yeah, you can't get rid of that actually. It's really annoying. You just have to like close the terminal. Oh yeah, okay. I've gotten rid of it sometimes and sometimes I haven't been able to get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's
So yeah.
I mean, you could,
Yeah.
there you go. So that yeah, I thought Sam was taking the piss out by telling us to use PyBug, because he prefers PyBug, but apparently, and then I sent him back a message like saying that he set it up to where people can only use PyBug. But so you have access to that project, that project's instance variable, but like yeah, you could do. What's wrong with your R, man?
Hello.
What's wrong with your R? What's happened?
Going on?
What's happening?
I think it's keeping with. You see, I can't even type a whole word. I don't know what's going on.
No, so it's not working. Oh, it says PyBug's not working either, huh?
No.
I didn't test that actually. So let me see.
Yeah.
I guess like maybe an easier way to do this instead of just trying. I can try to debug that in the background, but an easier way to do it is just to go into the Rails console, like so just from the hey Ryder.
Hey.
Hey.
So,
Hello.
How's it going, Mike?
So just from the like, get out of that if you can. I'm still trying to get out of it here as well. That's weird. Kind of frozen.
Yeah, I've been trying to get out of it.
Not working for you either. Interesting.
You guys should really use better errors.
Yeah, you said that actually.
I know I'm saying it again.
I mean, I'm tempted to just add it to the gem file and put it in a PR. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna do it.
It's pretty great.
All right, I'm gonna stop the server here, and I'm gonna. What do I have here as local changes? I think I just have this PyBug statement, which I'm gonna remove. Yeah, I mean, would as far as you know, would that help us to figure out why we're having such big issues with this rake timeout issues?
It will help improve your debug flow and make it more seamless. That is likely to have good long-term effects for the project. The degree to which it will assist in giving you data that you don't presently have to target what the rake timeout issue is something which I can't attest to.
Okay. I mean, it couldn't hurt, right? Like you
No.
wouldn't expect it with the process. We missed you in the Elixir model, by the way.
Yeah, sorry about this week. It's been a little, it's been busy, and I'm really bummed because it's like day 3 of the sprint, and I had hoped to be involved from day 1, and it just hasn't been possible.
I mean, no worries to be sorry. But like I know that's just what you mean by that is that you feel the frustration of not being able to be more involved.
Yes.
So I mean, one of the things that I would love to be able to do, I kind of put it as a high level goal of this week, but then have like done nothing to make sure that actually happens, is to just kind of go through, like we have, I'm not sharing my screen, so that's not helpful. And Mike, you were about to enter in the Rails console I mean, you could go just into the Rails console, or you could go in like a sandbox. I don't imagine you're going to make any changes that you care about rolling back, but you know the command to go into the Rails console, Mike?
Yeah, I think my terminal has hung as well. Maybe I restart it.
Okay. So there we go. I'm going to take off this version. I mean, that's an interesting thing, this versioning, like, because it depends on how it's versioned. Like, it can stop like Dependabot from actually automatically updating it for us. Although, yeah, this potentially, the way this is written, would not keep it from being upgraded. Or maybe it would. It seems like this is saying something like, I'm not sure what this tilde means in this case, but like greater than 2.5.
What's the command to start Rails terminal?
The console is like Rails C or Rails console.
Okay.
I'm not sure what those errors above are.
Well, those are the most recent ones, right? So those aren't going to tell you much. It looks like if you go to the bottom one, that's the oldest trace you can see. The one that ends in the active support 516 lib support dependencies RB292.
Are you talking to me or to Mike?
I'm talking, I guess I should be talking to Mike. I thought I was looking at your screen.
Ah, yeah, okay. Cannot load such file rack handler bash.
Seems like Matt is talking about something on his screen, and
yeah, I was sorry about that. I'm getting distracted because this is the second time that Ryder has told me to use better errors, and the first time I just kind of like, old man doesn't know what he's talking about.
I might not, but you won't know until you try it out.
I know. I'm trying to find a way that I can get myself some errors. I wonder, Mike, did you? I mean, it seems like you're inside the Rails. Yeah, the Rails console. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You ran the Rails S bash, so I don't even know if that's a valid command. So I don't know if I'd worry too much about that error. But so you're inside the so what you were gonna do? Like I was just about to tell you that you were writing a SQL like command to like grab. So you saw there that we have associations in the project where a project has many event instances, which means that you can do things like I believe you can do things in the Rails console like project.first.event instances. And then that will list all the event instances of project.first, if I'm not mistaken. You could.
So here I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that does.
Yeah. So that has no event instances, but that's because we're working on a development database where there hasn't been any instances created for that project. which is actually something that we're working on right now. Daniel, who you have met, not Dan, but Daniel, who I think you've met as well. Yeah, exactly. He's working on yeah, he's going to do a project. He's working on improving our seed file so that we can actually include like, you know, more things. You do have an event instances like in the seeds. Like if you wanted to go, like presuming you have seeded the database, which it looks like you have, you could go like to the seeds file and you could find which projects actually have event instances. So in the background.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say in the background here, it looks like we do have better errors because I tried adding it and it tried running bundle and it was like, you can't do that because you already have better errors. So you can't do it twice. So we do have better errors, but it doesn't seem like it's giving very good of errors. I mean, it's in the development test, which seems okay to me. Like, does that make sense?
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about, Matt.
Matt's talking about this dependency that I've suggested be added to the project for a while, and it looks as though it's already.
Okay.
I'm not sure having it in the testing group is sufficient. Yeah, see, that's not how it's documented that you should do it.
Okay.
So I'm just going to give you a little thing.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm going to give you the box I grabbed it from.
Yeah.
But yeah, it shouldn't be in the testing group.
It should be just in develop.
It should be in the development group.
Yeah, so I guess we don't have a just a development group. We have like a test group, and we have a development and test group.
So is it in the test group or is it in the development and test group?
It's in the development and test.
Okay, that should be sufficient. So
yeah, that would be my understanding.
You have both better errors and binding of caller, both?
It seems like it.
I see that. It's hard for me to see the underscore on 100, but yeah. Interesting. So if you interact with the application and get it to crash, what happens?
So I could do that like I just did. I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to hijack this thing because I'm getting distracted. Mike, I mean,
well, you don't have to do this right now. It's already in the project.
Yeah, just maybe. I mean, I could have a look at the documentation and see if I can see.
Oh, no. See, here's the thing. If you're interacting with the application through the UI, the whole point of better errors is you don't have to use pry. When it crashes, it'll give you a REPL that'll allow you to interact with the app in the state it was at crash time.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. So I guess like yeah, I had the static pages. I just ran the static pages job. I grabbed the static pages. So I can't make it crash in that way. I don't even have the server. Mike.
No, I agree with your instinct, Matt. Let's not worry about this right now. But that is something which would probably be useful to revisit.
Yeah. And I guess to finish my thought earlier, one of the high level things that I wanted to do this week was to have a review of what actual gems we are using and which ones we're not using, and have a just general cleanup. So Mike, did you go to the seed file?
Yeah, the seed file, yes.
So do you see there where we're creating event instances, and you see there we're passing in a project?
Yes.
And you see the name of the project?
Oh, now this is the name. Okay. So
So that's
maybe
no, sorry. So that's a local variable that you highlighted there. But you see where that local, yeah, okay, good. So you see which project that it's referencing to?
local support the title.
Yep. And you're familiar with that project, right?
Yeah. So do I assume it's just called local support?
I mean, you could, or you could like do what you were doing a second ago and look and just check, like, because then you would, you're going to want to find that you're going to want to find that I mean, you could do exactly, maybe no, yeah, you couldn't do exactly that, but yeah, there's the title. So it's with no spacing, and then you could do exactly what that last, or what that other line that you were on is doing, which is like project.findBy, and then yeah. And you can even copy like the whole line 137 kind of, because you want to probably save it to a variable.
Oh, this.
Yeah, and the project equals as well, probably, but I mean, it's up to you.
Mama. Mama. Nimba. Yeah. She's not happy. These people.
I can hear that. Yeah, do what you need to do. Don't worry about us.
Support. Stop taking away my daddy.
I wish we could like I wish you had that set up like Sam has, where we could like watch your screen, but then at the same time we could see what you're doing in the background,
Yeah, CamDesk. That's actually a really cool little gadget.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. All right, cool. So now we have that project, and now that's saved to a local variable. So now instead of like project.first.event instances, you can just say project.event instances, right?
Yes. So okay. So I can just say it's project event. Yeah, and that will give me the event instances.
Cool.
Okay.
So now you can see what you wanted to see, where you can like, so correct me if I'm wrong. What your idea is that you would grab, you would populate this drop down with all of the projects that have event instances that are in the future.
Yes, but what I've figured out with a little bit of querying of the events like the event instances does not have the date for the event. So
yeah,
that's within the event. Yeah,
and I think that's because, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I know why that is, but I don't know if I know how to enunciate it, and it's maybe not important. Like, so being able to do a database query like you were talking about, where we could say where the start date is, greater than or equal to time.now, wouldn't work because you don't have a start date time or started at. So maybe we can't do it for only projects with future events. And maybe that brings us back to Sam's idea of only having projects that are active.
Only having active projects?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There could possibly be, many other ways of cleaning out that drop-down list.
But this links to the event. So maybe can we?
Can we?
Can we use this event ID to link to an event?
I mean, I think we could, yeah, for sure. We could like grab the event ID and we could, but then I mean, I'm not sure, but I think that like that event might have started like 2 years ago, and it was created as never a reoccurring, never-ending event, and then we wouldn't, we could be checking the started at like when that was started maybe, but I think that wouldn't give us the information that we actually want, if that makes any sense.
I think you broke for some time, so I didn't get your last part.
Actually, I wonder if we wouldn't be able. So I was learning a little bit about how these event instances are created. And these event instances are created when a person pastes in a link to the, yeah, but that probably wouldn't be what we want then. Because these event instances are created when someone pastes in a link to to the Hangout URL. So like you created this this event for us, thank you for that. And you pasted in the link so that other people could join, like myself and Ryder, and that created an event instance. So now there's an event instance for this event. And so there would be a project associated with that, and then we could like grab that project that's associated with it and populate the dropdown with it. But then there are other events that have not become instances. They've just they've been created, the event, but so it's not the event instances we want, actually. It's like the events, not the event instances.
Yeah, because I was seeing, is there a database table called event instance?
There is, yeah, there's a model and there's a database table as well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but the event instance doesn't actually happen. Like the event instance doesn't get created when someone creates an event and publishes it on the events page. It only gets created after the person starts the event with a valid Hangout URL. So I think that actually what you said that you wanted to accomplish is actually not at all interested in the event instance, but is interested in when an event is created that has a project associated with it, that we want to be able to have that project like in the dropdown.
Yeah. So like if say for instance today we have no event absolutely on this list. If today we have no event planned on this list, this filter for project should be empty, because there's no event it's going to filter. But if an RFM event is created, we should have one project here that says RFM. And if we have RFM and website 1, we should have RFM and website 1, such that this list only has events which are on this list. Like, yeah.
Do you want to filter the events by project?
Yes, it already filters by project. Like for example, if I filter by website 1, it will give only website 1 projects here. But then what I want to achieve currently is that this list is too long, and it should only have a list of projects that exists, that has events that are meant to be in the future, such that if there's no website 1 project, I cannot filter by website 1 projects, because there's no website 1 projects to filter. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And
so when you say if there's no website, go ahead, Matt.
I'm not talking. I think the echo's coming from Mike's side. So it's you just talking to yourself. But I can mute. Sorry, Mike. Just go ahead. Right.
Thanks, Mike. Cool. So, Mike, you're wanting to say if there's no project, don't have it in the dropdown, and your criteria for there being no project is a project that has no future events attached to it?
I muted you, Mike. Sorry. Just because that echo sometimes is difficult for us to think at the same time. But please feel free to, yeah.
Okay. So Ryder, what I'm
Yes.
saying, like,
Yeah.
just as an going back, like this is an events page,
Yep.
and the events page has a list of events, right?
Yep. I get that.
And this is a filter,
Yep.
which is meant to filter these events.
Yep. I get all of that.
Currently, this filter has projects.
Yep.
That some of them don't even have planned events.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to achieve is to have projects here only if there's an event planned in the future for that specific project.
Perfect. Yep. So only projects that have future events.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the drop
Which
down.
I think could be challenging, Mike, because like if it were just like dealing with the event itself, then you could just check to see if the event is in the future or not. But because we have recurring events, the event start date was set to sometime in the past, and then like then it goes through and it creates like new instances of the events to populate the list and to populate the calendar, but but they're not actually saved to the database.
Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly. I mean, there possibly could be an easy way that I'm not thinking about how we can query those event instances. Like, sorry, not to be confused with the event instance model, but like the new, when you say like event.new, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or event instance.new, you create like a new instance of that event that is not saved in the database. So it can't be queried. You can't query the database for information about it because it doesn't exist in the database. And so the recurring events, that's what happens, like, so you could filter for just events that happen in the future, but then there will certainly be events that will only be events that are not recurring, because well, not only, but like once the event happens one time, then its start date will be in the past, even though it has recurring instances in the future.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. But then, okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But what I was just saying, there's a way to know what events are recurring events, so that we include them in that list.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we could say if it has like some sort of recurring rules to it, then just include, all projects that have recurring rules are recurring. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you might get some past, like some projects that are inactive that have recurring, but you could filter again for that as well, like only active projects. I mean, I think as a first pass, like we could.
No, hang on. I don't think we should filter for that as well. I think that's, hey, we have these inactive projects that still have recurring events. We should use the current drop-down results to say, hey, these don't belong here, and get rid of those recurring events. Otherwise, we're masking this problem of we've got old projects which shouldn't have any events that have events. And it gives us an opportunity to actually fix that rather than to cover over it by filtering for it and leaving the data in a bad state.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but when I say like have like I guess I was thinking about like implementing something that said like if the event has like a field that's a column called recurring that is not nil or is not blank, is more specific, then include that in the list. But it can have it could have had a reoccurring events that happened 2 years ago that are no longer showing up on our calendar or on our list, but then it still would not have a column of blank. So it doesn't mean that it would have current reoccurring events. It just at any point that they did have reoccurring events, it would be. But there might be a different way of implementing it where like I don't know of a way of implementing it where you don't check if the reoccurring is not blank. without because yeah, I mean, maybe
I don't know. You can keep talking if you want, but I'd recommend slowing down and thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to suggest is I think like so Sam has brought up and I think would be a good idea as well, would be like our first pass, because the overall it seems to me that like the higher level thing is that we want to declutter the drop down list seems like the higher level to me. Like,
is there a work item for this?
Yeah, I think he's showing it right there.
This.
Oh, great. The projects dropdown should only have a list of projects with events scheduled for the future. Perfect.
But I think that is what the issue says, but I think that's maybe not the higher level goal, because I think we could jump into the code and see for ourselves. But I think that like having a little bit of understanding of how it is, that proves to be difficult to actually implement. Or maybe not.
I'm not convinced of that yet, but you might be 100% correct.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it, of course. I mean, we should have a look at the code and see. If you go to the, well, I mean, before, like, I guess when Ryder's ready, if you go to the event model, you will see that there's quite a complicated series of things that happen to create like events and event instances and how they get shared to the list and the calendar.
Why the heck are there both events and event instances? Oh, because it's an event like the Martin Fowler Scrum at 7:15, whatever. Just I'll let you talk.
Well, I just answer your question quick. Like I guess the event instances are created when a Hangout URL is shared, and then those go into like if you've been on the site, when you click on the events drop down, there you have like upcoming events and past events and create an event. And so when you go to like past events, those are only going to show you the event instances.
Yep. So what is an event?
An event is, like you were saying, like Martin Fowler Scrum or this Hunfunk Mitbashman meeting. These are all events. And then like the event instance would be just something that has a Hangout or YouTube URL associated with it. So it doesn't have all the information that, like, you can see there, the event instance, it doesn't have all the information an event has. Like if you do event.first, Mike, you can see like it has some of the same information, like some of the same stuff in the database, but it doesn't have everything. So like, and vice versa.
Yeah. Thanks for the explanation. I just,
yeah.
I don't know. Having the word instance in a class name just really rubs me the wrong way. But I mean, you've made clear at least what each distinct thing is.
Yeah, like an event, I guess, can be something that may or may not happen. And the event instance is like, it actually did happen. And we have proof that it happened because we have a Hangout URL and we have a YouTube I guess, because you can see there, like, event instance with ID 7 does not have a Hangout URL, but does have a YouTube video link or YouTube video ID.
Yeah,
so it can be created.
I'm kind of struggling to understand why we have to have this project ID in the event instance and then have it also in the events. Because I think maybe, I don't know if the design should have been that the event has the project ID, so it links to the project. And then the event instance just links to the event.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah,
talked
I
about
agree.
that very thing today, actually. And I can direct you to where that, so that like that project idea is being passed like from the, there's like hidden fields in the form that like in the show page, that when a person copies the Hangout, I think it's in the, yeah, it's in the, I think it's in, yeah, is it in the event show? I'd have to find it. Like Sam was showing us earlier today, in another sprint. Yeah, like, yeah. So then when a person hits that edit, not the edit events, I don't think it's in the form. I think it's in the show page. Like when a person like clicks on the event actions and then clicks on the edit Hangout link, and then they share a Hangout link there, and they hit click save. When they click save, that goes to the event instances controller and actually creates an event instance. Yeah, there you can see all those hidden fields. So all those hidden fields are like up at the top. Yeah, at the top.
Oh yeah.
They're hidden. Those are like, you know, passing in certain information from the event, from the event's form, or from the event, and creating the event instance with that information. And he was commenting earlier today, like agreeing with what you were saying, that it is not necessarily the best design choice. And that one way that we could do it is we could have like, in the event instance, we could have a method that's called project ID, for example, that says like self.event.project ID. And for things that are not going to change, like the project ID, that would probably be a really good thing to implement. He was saying that maybe the thing about implementing it for things like category or the for is that since they're strings, like they might be called something different later on. Like we might decide to like have a premium mob that started off free and became a paid mob. And then when you change it in the event, then it would change for all the event instances, which we wouldn't necessarily want. So anyways, like, I don't know if we want to keep talking about that, but.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to have a look at the event model, Ryder, and see?
No, I don't. It sounds like you understand the distinction between those two models fairly well. And I don't think, well, I was about to say, I don't think we necessarily need to know those differences super well in order to do the current ask, right? Which is cleaning up the dropdown to have only future dated event instances, only projects with future event instances. But I'm not sure that's true. Maybe we do need to know that pretty well.
I mean, yeah.
So what was your first thought on delivering this functionality on the implementation?
You're talking to me or to Mike?
I'm talking to you.
So I was suggesting that maybe instead of like focusing on like only showing projects with future events, that we could like because it seems to me that the higher level thing that Mike brought up is that he clicked on the drop down and there was like hundreds of projects in there, and he was like, that's really cluttered, and was like, I want to declutter this. And a way to declutter that is to say that I would only have projects with future events. So, but I guess like we could disagree on that as a higher level. Like
I thought the ticket already specified only have projects with future events.
It did, yes, absolutely. And it was Mike that created the issue. So like,
okay,
we don't necessarily have to be married to that if it proves very difficult to, because I think Mike had that as an idea, not having completely understood. And I mean, I don't completely understand either. And you know, none of us, I think, completely understand.
But
Like,
you're zooming us out to the requirement, unclutter the list.
Yeah, exactly. Because that seems like that's where that originated. And when he said that, and when we were in a scrum together with Sam was like, yeah, cool, let's filter by only active projects, and then that would declutter it. And then Mike was, I guess Mike created the issue shortly after that, and he was like, yeah, well, I still think it would be better to fill, you know, to only have projects that have future events. That still seems to make more sense to me. And maybe that does make more sense. And I'm not sure why, you know, if Sam was like thinking to himself that would be proved to be very difficult, or it made more sense to him to just have active projects, or if he completely understood what the issue actually was. Like maybe he just made that, you know, that suggestion.
I'm behind your decision to zoom out like that. I think that's a good thought.
Because I think that, like, if we did that and we had something that, like, okay, then we could at least see, okay, that's still really cluttered, and that's not where we want to stop. We want to take this further, and we could work on taking it further, and like not close the issue. Just say that maybe we took a first step towards that.
Yeah, I don't know how well Waffle supports like sub tickets, right? But you could have a ticket, and the ticket is, hey, the thing is too cluttered, and then it has a related ticket, which is this one of filter by future projects, or, you know, there's stuff like that you can do. And if you decide that's not something you ever want to do, you can of course just repurpose that ticket to read by whatever decluttering mechanism you do implement.
Yeah. What do you think, Mike? Because you're the one that created the issue, and you know.
Yeah, you know, I actually feel like we should maybe try with the active events first, the currently active events first, and if we see that maybe it's still cluttered, it will be a step in the right direction, and maybe we'll improve it to maybe remove the active events without which do not have the active projects which do not have future events, because maybe that's the two maybe should marry. Like the events that are there should be active, and they should have future events. So maybe later on we will find how to marry them.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. Very cool. Good luck, guys. It was nice joining you.
Yeah, thank you, Ed. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, that sounds good. So, and that, you know, that could be potentially like a small victory, you know. I mean, maybe it won't be, maybe, you know, I mean, it will be a small victory. It will definitely be less cluttered, and then we can see where we go from there, you know.
Yeah. So maybe just to write events with
also sorry, no, I don't know if it's distracting for you, but like it seems to me that like you could be killing two birds with one stone as well, because remember that when you first talked about this issue, I thought that you were talking about on the events form page, like partial, and then you had to remind me, you had to tell me that that's not what you were talking about. And it's my instinct, although I could be incorrect, that having made this change, you could actually like declutter both of the drop downs instead of just decluttering one of them, you know?
Yes.
That could be really cool.
Yeah,
you know, 'cause we want that as well. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but then, okay, so you mean using a partial? Well, no. How this was done here was on the events controller. They just had this guy.
Yeah. No, sorry. I was just having a look now, and you would need to change it in different places. Like, so I was saying, like, if you look on like line 29, you have the edit method, and in the edit method you have another instance variable projects that's set to project.all. But I'm saying, like, if it works nicely in the index, then maybe you can put in a ticket to say, hey, this really decluttered our drop down, and I want to do this in on line 8, and I want to do it on line 31, and I want to do it on line, all the lines where we have project.all. It makes more sense that we have instead projects that are active.
Okay.
In this context.
Yeah, I think that makes pretty much sense. So yeah, so what to do? How do we know that a project is active?
So good question. Yeah, go there and yeah.
So the status.
You could say,
so
yeah,
maybe
status, and you could say project. Yeah, exactly. You got it. Or you have that local variable still, project, so.
Mm-hmm. So status is active.
Yep.
So
yeah, cool. And if you like say Q and then
yeah, and
yep, exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if it's less progress here.
And what about like just project.count?
That's 10.
Is it 10? So that's filtered out half the in your development database.
Yeah.
That's filtered out half of them. Now, how many that will filter out?
9.
So how many that will filter out in the production database, we don't really know, but we can assume that like if you've gone to the projects and you've kind of looked at the entire projects list, we can assume that that's going to filter out a good amount.
Yeah.
Now the difficult thing is that you can implement this and you can put in a PR and maybe it's something that Sam just has a look and says, yeah, well, that makes total sense, and he merges it in and then it gets to production, and then sometime later in the week you can check to see how decluttered the drop down actually is, but you won't actually be able to see how decluttered it is until it gets merged into production. You there? Hello? Mike! Where's Mike?
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. Internet happened.
I don't think you probably heard what I was saying, but what I was saying is that you could put that change in, and hopefully, since it's such a small change and since it's something that Tansaku actually suggested that you do, that it will just get merged in, and then maybe later in the week you can go back to the production site and you can see how much that actually will have affected the decluttering of the dropdown, and then you can then we can make a decision on whether how we want to move forward on it. That's one option. The other option is we can try to we can play around with trying to see if there is a way that we can like we could. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have any ideas that are jumping to my head about how we could, because like one idea that I had was that we could filter for only having projects that have event instances that have a created at that is not nil. But I think what that will do, if I understand how it works, is what I think that will do will exclude projects that have an event in the future but have not actually created any event instances,
Yeah, so maybe just to ask, like when we are on this page, yeah, when we are on this create event page,
yeah,
we cannot create an event that does not have a project here, right?
Yeah, we cannot, but a project can be created without an event. Like you could probably create an event. If I understand correctly, you can probably create an event in your terminal in the Rails console that doesn't have a project. But in the interface, in the visual interface that people use to create events, you can't create an event without a project because there's no space there. There's no blank for you to put that it's not associated with a specific project.
Yes.
So, I mean, I guess there's a couple different ways forward, and it depends on what you're feeling like. You could like put in that change that that's a relatively small change, put in a PR for it, and then you could open up other tickets that say like declutter project drop downs for events, and put in the same code in different places, like the new form and the edit form and those other places.
Yeah,
like I don't know if I would do that now, because you could put in another ticket, and then you could put in other tickets for that and kind of like put in multiple different PRs, or I'm not sure, or you could modify your ticket, or I don't know what the right thing to do is, but
maybe so like right now we just do it with the events page, and then maybe later on after we've had comments on this, because like right now I understand like where you're coming from, like what you are trying to tell me earlier on. So we can just read this so that Sam can have a look at it, and then maybe have another ticket maybe for these. Yeah, because I think once he merges, this ticket will go, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, he needs to merge it to develop, and then there's like a process where he needs to put it into like the staging environment, and then he like needs to kind of test it out in the staging environment to see that there's no like unintended consequences, and then from there it will get merged into production, and then once it gets merged into production, then you'll be able to see what kind of impact it made. So that could take several days, or it could be like tomorrow. We don't really know,
Yeah. So or maybe the best way could be to create a work in progress PR and start this discussion with him to see what he thinks.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a sensible thing to do. Like and then he can maybe say like, you know, let's put this in, and or maybe he, you know.
Yeah. So maybe that's what I'm going to do now, because I don't know. But this is all that I need to do for now. Yeah, is there a way to write tests for this?
I guess like I'm wondering. Sorry, I'm just trying to think. So you can see where I am right now. I'm in the terminal as well, and then I have here event dot. If I say like event equals event first, maybe I'm going at it the wrong way, you know. And then so we have an event dot first, and event dot first we have a created at, and we have a start date time, you know. But I guess like you can see here that this start date time is in the past.
Yeah.
And that's because of the seeded. That's because of like when it was seeded, you know. But like also that also is a little bit realistic with what we would face. Like what we have here, for example, let's go to one of our amazing recurring events. For example, the Scrum. And now
yeah.
Example, because the Scrum maybe doesn't really, I mean, I guess it does have a project associated with it potentially, but events. This is so slow. Here we go. So I don't know, the Phoenix One open pairing session, for example, which is a recurring event. Yeah. You can see that it was created at like this. I mean, the problem is I can't look at the specifics about like the start date time of this because I don't have access to the production database. Like
we could maybe create one locally.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So if I come here, like for example, if I come here to it's localhost. Do I have the server running? Rails S. Okay, so then I create an event, right?
Yeah.
The event is like awesome recurring event, right?
Yeah.
And that category pair programming, let's just say, because a lot of people don't change this, right?
Yeah.
And then the project, let's say website one. I mean, you know, this project drop down is not too cluttered, you know?
Yeah.
But you did have an idea as well about like kind of updating this like kind of outdated type drop down to being like a more up to date type like maybe like the select 2.
Yeah. Yes.
With the select 2 Rails. And I can view some stuff here. I think it's like a select 2 JavaScript library with Rails asset pipeline. And did I not just click on that? I thought I just clicked on that. Okay, that leads to itself. There's a page you can go to, code here. Heroku app here. Is it the Heroku app? I know I've been to it before. I guess I'll just carry on with this a little bit. The description is like some really cool recurring event, and then I'll give it a start. Okay, well that it comes from this, right? So yeah. I guess I could check it here if I come here to edit event action. I come here. The start date and time is in the past, right?
Yeah.
So that's like the one of the issues with recurring events is like here, if I say, you know, event dot where start date time, you know, is what is it like? Where start date? I don't know if I can do this with a simple where clause, because I don't think I can do this, no? With the where. I don't think that's going to work. Time dot now. And it's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
It's not like startdem_gt.
What's that? How's that?
Did that work?
I'm not sure. It returned something, but I'm not sure it returned what I wanted to return. Invalid statement.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because I did the count on it, you know. I mean, there's an example of this somewhere. 1 second, sorry. I have here in Rails and in Agile Ventures and in Local Sport. Then if we open up this, then we have here in like events.
So
Event dot the upcoming, like, yeah, so it's like where, and then this, and then in parentheses start date is greater than or equal. Oh, so I need to do everything in parentheses. So like here I would do where start date time is greater than or equal to time zone or time dot now, you know?
yeah.
And then this count, I think. And I think this will, yeah. So that returned something. But I think I don't have anything where this, you know, I don't think I can I count this? I don't think I can count for some reason. I don't know why. It's not letting me count. Error, current transaction is aborted. Commands ignored until end of transaction, blah, blah, blah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I can't inspect it either. What can I do with this thing? Is this, you know, this isn't useful. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think in our seeded file we have all of these are in the past, you know. Like, if you, okay, so thanks for that. If you look here at our seeds, like one of the things we're working on is improving this. But if you look at like, oh, so here's all the events that are created, and like 2014, we have 2 events just, and they're both in the past, which is why, like, if you come here, I'll just finish creating this event. So let's say that this is in 2020. I guess it doesn't matter. I can do 2018, and then, you know, I'll just do here on the 31st or something, and then I put here 60 minutes, and then I save it. So now we have an upcoming event, and now if I come here, I should be able to see this and I can't. That's weird. Right. Did I not make it an upcoming event? Yeah, so here I want to reload this. True. and then I want to say event.last, and that's like the event I created, and that is for October 31st, so that is in the future. So now if I do this, that still seems, yeah, I don't know what this, it's returning something. I mean, event equal that, and then event inspect. I think it's going to come up with that same error. Yeah, it's telling me that's not valid. So events dot what dot methods dot sort. What can I ask about this? Event dot blank. Oh, it says I do have count, you know. So that's weird. Event dot blank. And it's telling me undefined table. All right. Missing from clause entry for table time. Oh, I can't use this. That's what it's telling me.
Times at the time.
I mean, I should be able to use.
Time.zone, okay.
Yeah, so it's telling me the time. Okay, well, let's, instead of that, let's just, can we use like, can we use one of these, start date time like this? Just grab this and copy it and paste it into here. No, it doesn't like that either. So events dot first dot starts date time is that. That's what's returned. And I've copied that directly into here, and it's not letting me use it like that.
Maybe if you use maybe in the where you just have 2014. Yeah. Clever.
Yeah.
You have a quotation mark that you don't want.
How do I?
No, you don't. Okay. I think.
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, I'm not sure if I want it. I was just looking at how it was in the.
Maybe you want to interpolate or something.
I was looking. Yeah, I mean, it could be. I was looking at how it was in the in the locus part. No method error. Start date time for event. So there's an object there, you know, like it is it is something. Object ID. It has an object ID, but it doesn't like when I say blank or many other things. And like it's complaining that this part is not valid, you know?
Mm. Yeah, the event that first maybe is what I was saying. You want to interpolate so that it's because it's within the string.
Like do like this.
So equals.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Like this, and then like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this is more for variables though, but I mean,
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
I mean that did something.
Ah.
I'm not sure what. What's event? I mean that, yeah, it's like returning an object, but it's like it's not what we want, you know, because it's not actually returning like the information about the object, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, we could continue carrying on trying to figure out what's going on with this, but I feel like maybe it's not necessary to understand like the issue we would have, because, you know, this event here, for example, is like, so we still have event so if I do event equals event dot last, we have that.
Yeah.
And then that's starting in the future, so that's all good. But then when it, after it happens one time, then we can't use this any longer. And yeah, I don't know if we can use the I didn't create this as a repeating event, did I? Okay. So let me do that, because where
But
is that?
Oh, you created it in the past.
What's that?
How come?
No, I don't know. That's what I was wondering. Like Sam was talking about how, as long as you create it in the future, it should appear here. But that's not been my experience that I just had right now.
Yeah, because I was thinking maybe you created it in the past. So
there's this awesome recurring event. And it's for Wednesday, October 31st, 2018. So that's in the future.
Yeah, that's in the future.
So, I mean, potentially there's something that's not working. So this would recur on a Wednesday. Repeat ends never. Okay, so now I've updated that. Now, so it's repeats, and then before it had repeats never. So like you could say something like event non-recurring event equals event dot, well, that's kind of challenging as well, because you can't do negative wheres, can you? Well, you could do, yeah. Oh, you wouldn't need to. Where non-recurring event equals where repeats is never. That's empty because we don't have any, But then you could do maybe something similar, like then you can say all events equals events dot all. And then you can do all events dot class. So no, that wouldn't be what. And what about non-recurring?
You didn't notice that I dropped, right?
No, I didn't. Didn't notice. Sorry. If I say can I do all events? Events minus non-recurring events. Yeah, but this is 4, but then I think all events is 4 as well, because we don't have any non-recurring events. Yeah, it's 4 as well. So, but I mean, it seems like you can do arithmetic on it, where you could find the events that are not repeating and deduct those from the events that are repeating, or all the events, and then that would give you the difference between these two, would give you the ones that are recurring. Because like there's different rules. There's like weekly and blah blah blah. But then And then you could like try to, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like it'd be a little bit complicated, you know, and maybe there's not too many active projects at the moment. I mean, maybe there are, you know. I think there are quite a lot of active projects. That's another thing that we could work on, if we wanted to, is there's like this here, this wireframe. Okay, cool. That you can like actually you can search it, you can filter out based on current and past events, you know, like current events, past events, or not events, projects. So this would be like the current would be all of, you know, all the events where the status is active, and past projects would be all the events that have a different status than active. So like closed or inactive or whatever else. So, you know, you could do that, and then that would, you know, that would help in some way, maybe. I don't know. But is this the, so yeah, this is kind of a shit example. I think I can find something that's better. I know I've seen, like, maybe it's not in the select two rails, maybe it's in just the select two. Select two example, maybe? Is that? No. Like going back to what you were saying about making, I think it's here. Yeah, this is it. So you can use this in Rails as well, basic usage, where we have a drop down, and then we click on the drop down. Oh, so this is a regular select box, right? And you can turn it into like this. We click on it, and then it has a search thing, and then we say like, oh, I'm looking for you know, everything that starts with CA, and it like dynamically updates using jQuery, like anything in the drop down that you're looking for, you know. So like this is a quite cluttered drop down, but you don't really notice it's cluttered because you go typing what you want to look for, and then anything with a W. And this is something that I've gotten working on a side project in Rails, and you know, I mean, you could argue that this would be nice to add to the drop downs that we have on website one. Like instead of being these ones here, like maybe not for all of them, but like, because these only have like a couple things, and this as well. But like this, as you noticed, is quite cluttered. And maybe even when we filter it for active projects, it's still quite cluttered. So that's one thing that we could maybe do. Like this one as well is really cluttered. Oh, Mac's gone. We're still recording? Yes, we're still recording. So that's interesting. I guess what I'll do is I'll come here and